All right, so here we go. That should be the summation of Torah 29, Torah Chavtes. Basically, the argument between, the dialogue between the sages of Athens and Reb Shua ben Hanania is, they asked him, a person who was looking for a shidduch, and the woman that he was looking for was denied to him. So they said, why, what business did he have, to look for a woman, that is more miyuchas, is more, comes from a more important background than the first one. So he took a pin or a stake and pushed it into the wall, and it wouldn't go in. So lifted his hand up and tried to push it into the wall, and it did go in. So in other words, there was no hole here down, but there is a whole hump. And he says this is bashert, this is doesn't mean that that it's up to you who you're going to be. Shemaim, they going to give it to you. So Benu says, starts the Torah by saying that not every dibur is called a dibur. A dibur that doesn't have good in it, it's as if it hasn't been spoken at all. Practically everything that they say on the news, it's like something that it hasn't been said. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, take a newspaper from a year ago. It means absolutely nothing. Last week means nothing. Yesterday's means nothing. The only thing that they talk, there's a dibur that doesn't have das, doesn't have good in it. It's not even called a dibur. So Rabbeinu says that the way to elevate the dibur is through the shevach tzaddikim. And Rabbeinu brings proof to that, why this is so. And because when a person is praising the tzaddikim, it actually awakens their koyach. The tzaddikim is a live force that is behester, that it's dormant, as it were. It's not dormant, but it's like hidden. What needs to be done is when you speak the Shevach Tzaddikim, it elevates the mind. It brings about the presence, the koyach of the tzaddik that you're speaking about. And Rabbeinu explained that Shevach Tzaddikim, that elevates the das, it brings das to the dibur. Before we said that any talking that doesn't have das in it is not called dibur. It's like, mouthing words, like pantomiming words, doesn't mean anything. So how do you get das to the dibur? Shevach Tzaddikim. That brings das to the dibur. And then the dibur has good in it. Then it is heard. Then it is accepted, because good, everybody wants. Everybody wants good. Then Rabbeinu explained that the dibur is the bechina of malchus. And the bechinas of malchus, and Rabbeinu explains a different kind of tikkunim for the bechina of malchus. We are saying you have to pull das into the dibur. Means you have to pull chayas into the malchus. So the Rebbe calls, the tikkun adibur, the fixing of the speech, is called that the malchus is wearing white garments. The garments of the malchus are white. Now, the malchus, per definition, is a female. It is a recipient. of the shefa of all the spheres that come from above it. All the spheres, the 6 meters that are above the Malchus, called the male. The Malchus is considered the female. It receives the shefa and it gives it out. It gives it out as shefa. In Chas v'Chalila, there's no shefa. It gives out as dinim, din and Malchus dinim. Now, when a woman is pure, she's clean, she's not neither, she's wearing white clothing. When the Malchus is damaged, it's called that the Malchus is wearing red clothing. Epchinas nida, dam nida. And Rabbeinu goes on to and that what that does, that is causes separation, like nida, dam nida causes separation. Here we're talking about the spiritual aspect where the Shechina is b'fchinas nida, the Malchus is damaged. There's a separation between Kudsha B'richu and Shechintei. Kudsha B'richu, we're talking about the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is above any kind of expression in this world. It's endless. The Shechina is also HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu the way it is revealed in this world. When the two are one, we are zeiche in this world to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu like very clearly. This is called Lichut Kusha Purushim. Then things are good for you. So the begodim, the garments, are also grammatically also can be understood as not just begodim but begidim. Gid means in blood vessels. Blood vessels means, well, they carry blood. Blood is chinas dinim, it's and the idea is, to ameliorate these dinim. And the way that you do it, the way that you ameliorate these dinim in the spiritual blood vessels, the chinas of begodim, in begidim, is you are pulling down whiteness from the das, from the moich. That the whiteness comes from the das, the same thing as Shevach HaTzadikim elevates the das, it brings tikkun to the dibur, then the dibur is accepted, and everybody listens to it. The same thing as in India, you're supposed to bring down whiteness, which is das, comes to the das, into the Malchus. This is basically the tikkun that we are talking to. Because when Chas v'Chalila the Malchus is damaged, it's because it's bitten by a snake. It causes separation. Madua adom lilvushaych. Why are your garments red? That's called, this is a euphemism for Isha Nida, that the Shechina is separated by the Kodesh Baruch Hu because of the sins of Am Yisrael. It causes Keviyochel Adam Nida to the Shechina. And that is, it causes a time that when it is like this, it gives rise to Shifcha Bisha. Instead of the queen, you have an imposter. Shifcha Bisha, Shifcha Tirash Gvirta. A servant that inherits her mistress. It's Ishara. So B'chol Es Yu Gidecha Levanim, Rabbeinu says that 28, times that the Shlomo HaMelech counts in Mishlei Yisrael, in Koheles, I'm sorry, a time to this and a time to that, and a time to build and a time to ruin, a time to love and a time to hate, and time to bring close. There are 28 or 12, 14 of each side. This is the 24, this is the 28 itim, and the Shifcha Bisha is Esra. It's a bad time, it's a bad epoch, it's a big era. It says, Bechol Es era, Yu B'gadecha Levanim. Your garments or begidecha, your blood vessels, but always you should put whiteness into it. Now, Rabbeinu says, in principle, okay, we understand. However, the problem is that the problems in the gidim, in the spiritual blood vessels, are, besides the fact that there are many of them, the many of them are very, very, very subtle. If a person gives a wrong look in the street, I don't know, seconds, he doesn't remember it anymore. That means that there was a certain damage that was done to a very, very small, blood vessel. In how are you going to get there? How are you going to bring tikkun there? How do you bring whiteness there? And this is the only way to do this is through a tikkun which fixes everything. This is called tikkun haklali. That's the root of all the tikkunim. And when you are going to, you're taking, making tikkun haklali, that brings about whiteness to all the blood vessels, and it brings in of kedusha, because when the malchus is not the way it's supposed to be, get damage to the brain is to the moichin, and the main. Now Rabbeinu says that the main way to achieve tikkun haklali is through being the tikkun habris, of being very careful with the bris kodesh, in thought, in speech, and in deed. And we spoke about it, Baruch Hashem, at length. Yes, that's what the Kodesh Baruch Hu says. Vayager lechem es brisoy. Kodesh Baruch Hu, Yagad, he told you his bris. Yagad Lishon Gid is Lishon blood vessels. Lishon Gid is also that particular organ, as brisoy. And Mimele v'aviyeschem elai, and I will bring it to me. This is how I get closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Rabbeinu says, when you have that, parnasa comes you don't have to work hard for the parnasa. It all comes. Slechem min hashamayim. And this is, you said, when you are doing that, this is Reshis Oini, Yaakov Avinu, that was obviously the paradigm of Tikkun Habris. He asked, give me a bread to eat, garments to wear, parnasa, because Rabbeinu says that's why, because parnasa depends on having white garments. In other words, having tikkun habris. And as long as a person does not have tikkun habris, is madu adom l'v'shecha. Why are your garments red? At that time, the dibur, we say when a dibur is not as good in it, then it's like as if it wasn't, as if you haven't spoken b'chlam. Now Rabbeinu says that's not only this, that when there's no tikkun habris, the Torah mysteries cannot be revealed. It's a rule that when Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, it says in the days of Reb Shimon, you were allowed to reveal. One was allowed to reveal Sedes HaTorah. After the days of Reb Shimon, it became forbidden. And so during the time of Shimon Bar Yochai, Shimon Bar Yochai is the paradigmal tzaddik that during the time of Tikkun Habris, the dibur is mutar, the dibur is allowed, and you can reveal dibur is betikun, you can reveal Torah mysteries. Chas v'chalila, if there is a pgam habris, if there's no Tikkun haklali, it's called after the days of Reb Shimon. That's a time where the dibur, the revelation of Torah mysteries, is forbidden. Ben says this is also the meaning of epilepsy. That's called epilepsy, causes blood pressure. And he says, this is Bechinas wine, and so forth and so on. So after we have explained that there are two Bechinas of Tikkun Malchus, one of them, Tikkun HaDibur, speak properly, bringing das to the Dibur, Shebachat Tzadikim, and so forth. And the second thing is Tikkun, Tikkun HaBriz, that elevates the Merchant. Then Rabbeinu said a third Bechina of Tikkun HaBriz, which is Masa Matan Be'emunah, dealing honestly with one's business. It says, when you do this, when a person does, the height, make a lot of money. Why not? Who should have the money? The Yidden should have the money. Why not? But it has to be honestly. It has to be honestly. It has to be b'kedusha. It has to be there. Otherwise, the money becomes poison. It has to be b'kedusha. How do you do it? The way to do it is, besides obviously not touching somebody else's penny, but it also means that when you're dealing with business, your inner kavana is not that you should become rich. You should have, all kinds of luxuries. The idea is that you should be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Some people need luxury. We learned in the Master of Prayer. The Master of Prayer saw that one of his people was very poor and needed to go around with golden clothing. In other words, like a very rich person. He gave it to him. And sometimes he saw somebody who was very wealthy, he had to go in tatters, to go with so he gave that to him. So bevakasha, if this is the thing that gives you, but the main kavana is to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with it. You give tzedakah, because ultimately tzedakah is the tikkun haklali of the money. So we have a tikkun hadibur. Shebachat tzadikim is a tikkun haklali, I'm sorry, of the dibur. We have the tikkun avodas, the tikkun of the sins. That's the tikkun haklali, tikkun habris. Then you have the third one is tzedakah, masav matan be'emunah. So your main idea is, I'm earning money so I can give tzedakah. Tzedakah is the tikkun haklali of one's money. And when a person has that, then mimela everything is achieved. As what we said, the klal is as follows. Rabbeinu says the principle that what you need to do, you need to fix the tikkun haklali. That brings about the tikkun for all the small subtle places that there is. That tikkun haklali is the origin of all the tikkunim. Even when you find a very specific tikkun, it also has to receive from the tikkun haklali. So you might as well just go tikkun haklali. That brings about the tikkun to all the, and even though tikkun haklali is much higher than any particular tikkun, any particular specific tikkun, since everything depends on the brain. In other words, to bring down whiteness from the brain into all the crevices, nook and crannies, and to elevate the moyach, to bring down the whiteness, is not possible except through tikkun haklali, the overall tikkun. So that's why you have to go to the highest madrego, to the tikkun haklali, in order to elevate the moyach, and that already fixes everything. By the way, when Rabbeinu said this particular Torah, Rabbeinu's derech was that the Torah that Rabbeinu said at that particular time included all the different things that happened around him. They found way into the Torah. It means that it's like the Nevi'im, a Novi. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "What do you see?" I see a pot, and it is pointing to the north. Why do you need that? So then he says, "Okay." The Kadosh Baruch Hu explains that this is Yirmiyahu, so this is that from the north, Chas v'Chalila, over there at that time, that the trouble began. The Nevi'im always did something, physical, of the same manner of that particular nevuah that they brought about. The same thing is by Rabbeinu. When Rabbeinu said this particular Torah, it was, I think it was Shavuos, I don't remember the year. That was the first time that Rabbeinu started wearing white garments on Shabbos and Yom Tov. The Rebbes of those times used to wear white garments at that time. Rabbeinu did not wear white until that particular time. That Shavuos, Rabbeinu wore white garments. The Torah, obviously, has white garments in it. What is the meaning of having white garments? Also, here we explain that when there's not in Akloli, the bloods in the blood vessels, like squirt into the brain and it causes epilepsy. At that particular time, one of Rabbeinu's people brought his daughter that was sick with epilepsy. And from what I remember, after the Torah, Rabbeinu said the Torah that she was healed, but I'm not sure. I don't remember specifically. But now Rabbeinu wraps the whole thing together and he explains how this entire Torah was embedded in that give and take, that dialogue between the sages of Athens and Rabbi Shua ben Hanania. That person that went looking, wanting a wife. That person is going to look for a woman, they don't give it to him. What is alluded to? What is Ramaz here? What's the Ramaz? Isha, he's looking for an Isha, he's looking for a woman. Isha is Hashem. That alludes to the Shechina. In other words, somebody who was Chas v'Chalila paying be'avonos, he causes to the Shechina a dam nido, as it were. It's the Shechina is bitten by a snake. The Nachash obviously is euphemism to the Samach Man, that is biting the Shechina, and it is sucking, the sustenance from the Shechina, and it's causing tremendous amount of problem. That causes separation between the Shechina and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. In other words, the upper spheres and the Malchus, the lower Malchus. In other words, the Zerampin, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, is not giving the woman, it's not giving the Shechina. Kodesh Baruch Hu's wife, as it were, is separated from him. Kodesh Baruch Hu is roaring over his household. Kodesh Baruch Hu is roaring about the spheres of Malchus that went into Galus, went into exile. And that's what they meant to ask is as follows. That person that caused Kodesh Baruch Hu to separate from the Shechina and become the great Tsar, that person, what business does he have to a place that is higher than him? Why does he go to a woman that is greater than the one that he was refused? What's alluded in this is when a person wants to clean out the malchus from the blood, the dam nida, he's going to a madrega which is much higher. Tikkun HaKloli. Tikkun HaKloli is lemala mi'isha yis Hashem. Isha Hashem is the Shechina. Tikkun HaKloli is in the Moichin, is much higher. B'fchinas tzadik moishel v'yis Elokim. Isha yis Hashem, that's the Malchus. Tzadik moishel, the tzadik rules. Yis Elokim, that's the Shechina. Tzadik shel b'chinas Tikkun HaKloli hu lemala, he is above. For Moshe b'yis Elokim, he is ruling over the Yis Elokim, b'chinas Malchus. They say the Malchus. The Malchus is Yis Elokim. This is what he's answering them. This is what he did. Shokol Siksa, Dotza Lesato. He took a pin or a stick, or a stake, whatever you want to call it, and try to push it down. Then it says the lotion is very precise. Sikasa is an of pin, and Yitzedus umasmeres. We're talking about stakes and nails, as Rashi says. What are stakes and nails? These are divrei Torah. And B'chinas divrei Torah, divrei chachamim. In Kalas it says the words of chachamim, divrei Torah chachamim, kedarvonos vekamasmeros. It's like spurs and nails. This is the divrei Torah. They are stuck in when you stick them down where they're supposed to be stuck. You can lean on them. You can lean on them, and you can rely on them, because it's like a stake that is hit into a rock. We spoke about it last week. He aimed down. He says, "Is hainu b'madrinas madregas atachnanas." These are the lower levels. When there is no tikkun haklali. Finas basari stalek Rabbi Shimon. This is after the days of Rabbi Shimon. Shaz dibur also, and then the dibur is also revealing Torah mysteries is forbidden. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go in. Why? It was not possible to speak divrei Torah at that time. There's no tikkun haklali. There's gama malchus. However, when he pulled it up and tried to push it in, then it goes in. It going. Up is during the days of Reb Shimon, when there is tikkun haklali, when there is godim levonim. Shu keshes abris, there's tikkun haklali. Sha'az adiber mota. Then speaking, learning says Torah is allowed. He showed to them that she'if shalasaken at dibur. It's not possible to fix the dibur. Kima de shvachat tzadikim, except through praising the tzadikim. Shu tikkun haklali la dibur. That's a tikkun haklali for the speech. And because as we said before, through shevach tzadikim, you elevate the moichin. It is a tikkun abris, is a elevate the moichin. The das of the dibur can be miskabel. V'adin kol advarim if shalasaken, the same thing. All the other things cannot be fixed. Kima de tikkun haklali, except that general overriding tikkun. To elevate the mind, from which the whiteness comes and whitens out all the averes, all the dinim, all the red, all the dumim that a person caused through his sins. And so, if it has to do, with all the speeches through Shabbat Tzadikim, and a person cannot be mistaken abris, and the Ella through the tikkun haklali, the same thing, the pgam of taivas moment and gazela, it's not possible to fix except you have tikkun haklali, which is stuck. You have to give tzedakah. This is what Reb Shimon said. That person got his bashert. How's it bashert? It says bas mazle, which shows noisely min lavonon, that the whiteness is pouring down, is trickling down from the lavonon. That's the mind, that's the brain. Abchinas moichin is noisly min lavonon. Now Ben says as follows. He took as an example the dibur. He saw it's not possible a second as a dibur except through the tikkun haklali. How do you know? Because the proof is in the day the Rabbi Shimon, the dibur was proper. The dibur was where it's supposed to be. Beseder, no problem. But al stalik, however, after Rabbi Shimon passed away, which means during when there's no tikkun haklali in the world, don't let your mouth cause your flesh to sin. Say that's a latata. You try to push him down. The lower madregas, dam nido, the shechina of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Then it does the same thing to all the other things. So l'sakar the tikkun haklali, everything needs to be fixed through the general tikkun that's shach to that particular thing, like business dealings. Have to fix tikkun haklali through tzedakah. The same thing, everything has to be fixed through a tikkun haklali that's shach to that thing. That's why when you have to elevate the mind and to bring whiteness from there, the only way is to do it with tikkun haklali. And afterwards, Rabbeinu says the pasuk that people don't really understand why he said that. Then he explained, "Kesef nivchar lishon tzadik." A chosen silver is the tongue of the tzaddik. Rabbeinu says it in this is when he wore the first the white clothing. Rabbeinu says, "Shachtos, hey, that's why a woman that she has problem with a menstrual period, and there's a lot of blood, and there's no fixed vessels. There's no it causes problems. How can she become pure? Even though a woman like this should not drink red wine, alter yanki sodom, shacharisoidom. It causes it's not good when there are blood problems. There's more domim, there's more blood. You're not allowed to reveal the secrets. So im kol zeh still, her refuah al she stuck about tzaddik community. Her tikkun is by drinking wine. It was looked at by tzaddik amiti. It's a very, very important nekuda we have to understand. The tikkun that the tzaddik has when he looks at something, when he thinks of something, obviously when he speaks of something, and when he does something. When the tzaddik amiti, the enaim, the end of the eyes and the end of the hair, they're basically two manifestations of a very subtle bechina, same subtle bechina. Einaim are bechina sa'aris, the bechina of hair. Kishiva gildaneina, the eyes altogether has 7 membranes that cover it. There's a Tikkunim speaks about it. Zeh bchinas Shimshon HaGiber. He was a Nazir Olam. His hair, he says, Sheva machlafas rosh, 7 curls off his head. You see, 7 membranes of the eye correspond to the 7 curls of the head of the. That's why Chazal said, what was the pgam of Shimshon HaGiber? He damaged his eyes. He saw the Plishtim's women, and he wanted them. He says, Ki Yosha Bena. He saw the woman. He told his parents, take her, because the Yosha Bena. In other words, I looked. Gemara says, Shimshon Poga Ve'enav. So this is the 7 ruchnius bechinas in the eye correspond to the 7 spiritual bechinas that there is in the hair. This is the moichen. The kiasaras and moisra moichen. People don't know why the people need hair. Hair is actually the excess moichen, the excess light. The brain is emitting tremendous energy, tremendous light. And the excess energy goes through the hair. That's why a specific Jewish haircut is very precise. That on top there's on the sides you have to keep payas. There are certain things that a person is not allowed to touch his beard. How, where, whatever it is, everything is for what do you call a lightning rod. The hair like a lightning rod that takes away the extra charge or extra moichin. There's 7 pearls. Hasheva midos, the 7 spheres, chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, hod, yisod. Shechol fin v'orim machshava shebamoyach. When a person has a thought in his mind, every single thought at any single period is going through the dominant midah of your personality. The thoughts that are coming in a person's thought is according to his midas, and the very midah that the person is holding. This is how the kind of thoughts that he has. This is the thoughts that are going through your mind. Is when the hair is being damaged, the eyesight is being damaged. Shiva Gildaneina. That's why Shimshon, that damaged the 7 curls off his head. He told Delilah that if he's going to be shorn, his power will leave him. For the same reason, it says about him, that the Plishtim gouged out his eyes. The hair is gone, the eyes are gone. That's why by a wine that the Tzaddik committee has looked at, the Shiva Gilda Ne'ena, this is the 7 memories of the eyes, the 7 spiritual bechinas of the eyes. You're fixing the 7 curls of the head, which is the hair. It comes from the moichin. You fix the moichin, what happens? It brings about whiteness into the gidim. It brings about whiteness into the excess blood. It fixes, it's a segula for a woman that doesn't have, a fixed menstrual period, that she should have it. The Bchinos, you see, Daniel said, what is the mind? The Sar Rosha, what is the tikkun of the hair? Sar Rosha K'Amar Nake. He says, I saw, the Malach, Kodesh Baruch Hu, he says, and his hair was as white as wool. This is Loshen Shazaharis, that's the strand of wool that used to be in Beis Hamikdash on Yom Kippur. It was dyed red, and half of it was tied to the post, and half of it was tied, to the billy goat that was sent to Azazel, to give the Samech Mem his chelik. And when it went down, what happened? The red wool became white. It whitens out the redness of all the shosagidim. If they would be red like a certain like crimson, they will be as white as wool. This is the saros, the hair is being fixed. The admumius, the redness is fixed to this Pchinas damnida. Pchinas mina meitzer karasika, from the meitzer, from the straight. I have called Yudke. Meitzer is the same letters of Tzemer. It says in the Kavonas, you should understand. I just want to touch about one particular nekuda. When we actually repeat it, we said divrei chachamim kedarbonos. It's like a steak, Everybody knows that lo aleinu kikol abris is a bad thing. Rav Shtickl Seichel knows. It's a struggle, it's a this, it's a that, okay. Everybody knows, we learned in Motzei Shabbos, Rebbe Melech was, every day, he was like giving his last will and testament because he was ready to leave this world every single day. Everything was, the tachlis was straight in front of his face. If a person damages the bris kodesh, I don't want to talk too much about it. Because we've spoken about it many, many times. Forget about the fact that people say, just do this and they'll come back, it'll be fine. Maybe it won't be fine, how do you know? And besides, even if you're fine, if you said that you made tshuva, do you know how much a person needs to suffer, to atone for these lapses? And what is Olam Haba? Let's take all this for a minute and put it aside. I want to talk about the positive side. If a person finds himself in an asylum, and throughout the years, you can get, there's no guarantee at any age, but sometimes, especially people in their 30s, 40s, whatever it is, suddenly it can be a certain woman that gets into his head, and he feels that, that's his tikkun. This should be, she's the one supposed to be my wife. My wife is, no, that's the one. Or there's a book that he wants to read, and he knows what's written in this book, that he shouldn't do it. Or looking at a movie. You're sitting in the plane, you're looking at the movie. Whatever it is, It is a big taiva. And when you feel it's a big taiva, and you manage to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, I really want to do it. I mean, I have a will to do it. Inside, I don't want to do it, but I have a will to do it. I have a cheshek to do it. Do me a favor, save me from that. In the beginning, you felt like you haven't done anything. You're still craving it, like you're going out of your mind. But you're still asking us, please do me a favor, help me with that. I can't do it on my own. I need you to help me with that. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps you, if it's immediate, in other words, if you need immediate help, it's something that has to do mamash for now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help you immediately. The Gemara says, this tefillah helps after 3 days, some tefillahs help after 3 months, and some tefillahs help after 3 years. I'm in trouble now. I need help right now. What good is 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years? I need it right now. So enachinami for the deliverance that you need right now, you get right now. Other things which are not so present, okay, it'll take some time. Some 3 weeks, some 3 months, some 3 years. But the thing is, if once you go through this process, you realize this taiva, and because the thing is, don't talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu about it. Just don't. They're just going to spoil everything. Talk about it. Say, Ribono Shel Olam, I'm craving it. I'm going out of my mind. Do me a favor, help me with that. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps you. That particular incident, mountaineers that climb mountains, alpines, whatever it is that they do it, and they go up, like rocks that are like standing like, like almost like vertical. And they go up Michigan as they go up in creeks, whatever it is. How are they able to do it? They have a steel stake and a hammer. And what they do is they drive it into the rock. Once it's driven to the rock, they wrap a rope around it. Not only can they climb, when it's night and they can't climb, they can't see when to climb, on that stake, they can actually hang a hammock and sleep the night. Until the morning, they can continue climbing. They can sleep, they can eat, they can do whatever it is that they want, and then they continue climbing. When Beseder, the negative side of Averis we already spoke about, everybody knows about it. But the positive side of getting one thing, one time, doing it in unison with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're doing it, not on your own, you overcome it. You ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, do me a favor. It's big on me. I can't do it. Do me a favor. Help me with that. Because Baruch helps you. It becomes a stake. You can hang your entire life on this. Your marriage, your children, your health, everything can hang on that stainless steel stake driven into the rock. This you have taken a call because Baruch Hu should help us. We finished Baruch Hashem Torah 29 Chavtes. Bezat Hashem will all be zoche to Tikkun Abris. We'll be zoche to speak of Shevach HaTzadikim and to elevate the mind. And to speak properly, to be Tikkun HaKloli of Tikkun Abris, and give tzedakah, be Tikkun HaKloli of the money. And Bezat Hashem, to Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Kor B'Yameinu Amen. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, is Thursday, best of learning. Best Hashem.